is Kai and Lafayette.
We're two ex-engineers who quit our jobs to pursue the path with heart.
We believe that experience is fundamental to understanding life and its concepts.
So our weekly podcast is filmed and recorded on location from various parts of the world.
It's thanks to our Patreon members like you that we're able to produce this content regularly.
We offer varying benefits based on your pledge amount, from full-length videos of the episodes to weekly streams.
So please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/thetheoryofliving.
Subscribe, leave us some feedback, and please share with your friends.
Yes, we're live again.
Here on The Theory of Living.
This is our third episode in this condo, Aonang, Krabi, right? And today's topic is training.
Something we have been doing so consistently over the last...
Well, we've been doing entire lives, actually.
Yeah.
But not only, past couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, because we've been settling in. There were a lot of things that we need to take care of.
A lot involved with the traveling process, and then find a place to live in Thailand. You just got your motorcycle today.
Yeah.
So pretty excited about that. I'm sure people are going to be very curious to see what color,
Nobody
what
cares
kind of
about
bike.
your motorcycle, man.
Everybody's he's going to drive a Ninja, man. He's fucking Asian, man.
By the way, I got to say that shout out to, I forgot his name, I'm sorry, who sold the bike to me. His friend, also very kind, very helpful, very trusting. I mean, I can't speak enough of this kindness of Thai people.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to do test driving. I told her that, do you want me to leave something, my belonging with you so that you can trust me? She's like, oh, no worry. We can just test it and come back.
Yeah, it's because you left me, asshole. She's like, I'm going to kill this dude if he doesn't come back.
Very trusting, very kind people. I just can't speak enough of it. But today's topic, training, I guess it's related to a lot of topics that we've talked before, right?
Yeah.
Setting goals, motivation, fitness even, which was episode 2. But I wanted to start with the etymology of the word train. So it's originally a French word. It referred to the part of a gown that is behind the wearer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like as a verb, it means to draw or to drag. So like in a way, there's some passive connotations in it, right? But at the same time, by the way, the word came way before the first industrial revolution or even locomotive, 19th century. This 14th century word came to English.
Probably origins from Latin too, or something like that, right?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. By the way, I've been using the word 100% so many times, so often these days because of our dear friend Steven. That was one of his favorite expressions. Yeah. And it's become my, I don't know, just a thing.
Catchphrase.
Yeah,
100%.
Catchphrase, 100%. Somehow, if I say 100%, it sounds like whole, entirety. Yeah. I don't know why I use that so much, but anyway, going back to the topic. The 14th century word came to English, and later it developed this sense of guiding in a way that, like, you could have said, train the vine, for example, like instruct the growth of branches and vines, for example. So that became the meaning of training that we use today, which is discipline and instructive course of path that you have to go through to make improvements.
Yeah. No, I mean, the words definitely changed a lot over time. Even looking at the Oxford Dictionary definitions, there's a couple. So this is the most popular one that as soon as you hear training, usually summons to your mind this type of imagery. But the action of undertaking a course or exercise and diet in preparation for a sporting event. There's also another definition which says the action of teaching a person or animal a particular skill or type of behavior.
Right.
And I think there's a pretty big difference there because one implies a type of behavior and the other is just taking certain specific actions.
Okay.
Usually when we're talking about training, you want to change your behavior in relation to these things surrounding training so you can actually have something meaningful that'll last rather than just a workout routine.
Yeah, sure. And, from the etymology of this word, I think there are two important characteristics. One, regimen or set of instructions, right? This is the essence of the word. You need careful planning. Basically, that's what it is, right? You just don't go train without any, plans or programs, right? You need very carefully devised plans, right? That's one important characteristic of the word. And another one is discipline, because you need to continue a trail, the path that you created, right? If you look at like railroad, for example, it's a long path. You have to go through all of them, right?
Yeah.
To get to your final point. So those are really important essence of this word: instructions, planning, and persistence. Basically, you have to go through with discipline.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of energy, like we talk about all the time, that goes into setting a goal and defining what's worthy of your time and worthy of your effort. And I think a lot of times people get kind of caught in that idea that there needs to be something at the end that I'm aiming for.
Yeah.
And if I can't achieve that, then I'm not going to even start. When usually you're robbing yourself of a lot, because nobody can guarantee any type of outcome.
Yeah.
You can strive towards an outcome, and maybe you'll hit it out of the park, maybe you'll fall short. But the value in the training plan and working towards something is greater than the thing you receive at the end.
Right.
You hear about this all the time. Somebody who says, I've been doing this, been working for this till 10 years, something of that nature, and I finally got it, and just like that, it's fleeting.
Yeah.
Immediately it's like, okay, what's the next thing? So it's one very important aspect, like you're saying from the get-go, is identifying what you want, but also realizing that thing's probably not going to bring you as much joy as you think, as much as the training part actually will.
Yeah.
And having something that you're working towards.
Yeah, for sure. I think the training, for some reason, has more like professional feelings to it, right? When we say that athletes, we don't normally use the word exercise, right? We normally use the word train. And somehow it feels more professional.
Yeah,
right?
I think training has a stronger connotation to imply intentionality towards something. Exercise is just general health. Yeah. I'm exercising.
Right.
I'm exerting myself for general health. So usually it's just such an open word. But yeah, like you said, when we think of training, we immediately think, oh man, intentionality. This guy is serious. He's training. He's training for something. Right. And that changes people's perception around it. It'll even change your perception surrounding the word, which I think is, again, like we talk about all the time, you have all these ideas that are embedded into you based on the concepts that are shared and everything surrounding them. So if you're somebody that grew up and you saw training and people training and they're always having a hard time, difficult, maybe all these negative things attached, maybe they neglected friends, family, got into steroids, got into something that was super unhealthy, maybe horrible dieting. Exactly. Maybe, anorexia or type of things like that, unhealthy eating disorders. And then you can think of the word training and you're going to have all this negative stuff. Yeah. Not based on the concepts and experiences that you've developed by engaging with the word and the concept, but you've basically let the word, the world and your culture define it for you. Yeah. So it's so important to go in there open-mindedly. And then also you can take power. You can take over that word. It can mean something so much more. When I hear training, I get excited. I'm on fire. That's gets me stoked. I love training. Right. I almost love it more than climbing sometimes. Yeah. Just training is so much fun.
True. I think it's because also, I was going to also say that professionalism, the feelings come with the word. I think it has to do with the etymology that we just talked about, because strongly connects to the regimen and set of instructions, which is very carefully created plans, right? And then also discipline, right? Those are the two things that really associated with the word. I think that's why we treat it more noble, I guess, than exercise, which is more general, right? Yeah. Because an exercise can be just one-time thing, like just go out, do an exercise or a few exercises. That could be just a one-time thing, but train is not a one-time thing, right? Correct. Like it's a path. Yes. It's a path. Yes. You have to go through all of them, right? So I think that's why we treat it a little bit differently than like other similar
no, you're
words.
certainly right.
Yeah.
There's a lot more specificity
Yes.
to it.
Curriculum, right? Things like that. So I think one really important thing is that not always, I mean, especially you're not experienced, but if you're experienced, meaning that you have done this many, many times, created your own plans and going through your programs, things like that, I think it's important to, at some point, at least try to create your own plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that not just plan, maybe, that even can evolve to the way, like Miyamoto Musashi says.
Yeah.
The way, right? That's why certain discipline becomes widely known, right? For example, Taekwondo by Bruce Lee, yes, I think in practice maybe it's weaker than other forms of martial arts, maybe. And not a lot of people are training Taekwondo these days. But
the philosophy behind it.
The point is Bruce Lee created it, right? Again, I mean, we talked about him tiny bit in the last episode. I mean, this dude, on top of doing all that things, become a movie star and write a book and all that, I mean, he created his own martial arts form, right? And then the essence of Taekwondo was to avoid any type of crystallization, like being rigid, right? He always talked about, that's why he talked about water, like being fluid, being adaptable, and his tenet was using no way as way, using no limitation as limitation, right? He really emphasized that. And then I really found a lot of similarities between him and Miyamoto Musashi. I don't know if he actually liked him or he read his book. He might have, right? I mean, it was still
extremely popular.
Famous. Was that he talked about this. You have to train yourselves to the utmost cultivated state, right? It's not just training. Like, you need to be mindful of that objective all the time. Like, your goal, yes, is to get techniques and things like that, but also like your state, the utmost state. You need to be always mindful of that. And then, which speaks to the importance of, mindful, arduous practice, which Musashi talks about all the freaking time, right? Yeah. Put into practice, exercise, practice. But also another thing is that, like, importance in your own experience, right? He says, research your own experience, observe what is useful, reject what is useless, and what is essentially your own, right? Yeah. I mean, that is, to me, almost identical to what Musashi says all the time in his book, that you should investigate this thoroughly, meaning that you should experience it, not just talk about it, not just planning it, but as you do it, you should be mindful of what you're doing. So I found these similarities between Bruce Lee's philosophy and Musashi's philosophy that we also
it's tied strongly
highly,
into
right? Experience.
Relativism and experience.
Yeah.
Truth is a matter of perspective based on your experiences and things surrounding those opinions and those ideas for you and those thoughts.
Right.
And to just, don't get me wrong, I understand we always want to jump to empirical data to find methodology that's the most effective for our training. Yeah. But a lot of times, unfortunately, in current exercise science and other things, we don't have a robust amount of data. Yeah. And also doesn't incorporate a lot of different factors. There's so many exponential amount of variables involved with if you're going to be successful or not. Right. In applying a training routine. Yeah. And if you're always just relying on this data that you probably can't interpret in any meaningful way, and that people are making money off of you selling you something, you're probably going to end up disappointed. Yeah. And you're also not going to have it in deep personal relationship with that training and that methodology. Right. And you also never will create something or find something new because you're not willing to step outside the norm. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think some people are always just looking for a shortcut. Yeah. Some people want the magic solution. They want to know, what can I do right now to get better with less work? Yeah. And I think the sad reality is that you can't skip the work, honestly, and have something incredibly valuable. Right. Or maybe you can, maybe you can buy your way or I don't want to use the word cheat. It's just a poor word choice. Maybe you can skip over some things and get there and get to that final destination. But you're probably not going to have as deep of a sense of appreciation and value for that item or that object or that skill you have obtained versus the guy who's gone in day after day and grinded, working towards that. And again, maybe he's somebody who's, less physically talented than you or whatever the reason is. But if you're always trying to avoid the work, you're never going to achieve that great thing for yourself personally. Others might see it as a huge achievement. But for you, if you didn't really have to suffer and strive over it, it's probably not going to mean very much to you.
Yeah, for sure. I think also there are like two practical points on what you just said. Is one, practice means part of experience, right? The more experience, the more learning you get. Whatever you do, even if that's success or failure, the more experience, because it fires up and all the parts of yourself, past and present, and then that connects with your own like ideas and concepts and experiences. Like you get more experience basically, And second part is that we talked about this in episode 7, a theory of goals. Is that as you do that process, you actually get you actually get good at what you're doing, planning, practicing, persistency. I mean, all that is a repetition of doing that will actually make you better at it, you know? So even if you skip over, whatever things, don't try to skip it, because the more experience and you will actually, by repeating that things, you'll get better at it. So there are even like practical points, and we're not just saying this only philosophically, No,
there's a real value in going through those hardships, because if you're already good at something, it's so much harder to improve. If you're bad at something, I mean, it's low-hanging fruit. You can improve so much with such a small amount of effort. But again, you're going to just constantly run against struggles. And it's how you identify them, and whether you have a negative connotation associated with struggles or a positive one is how you're going to react to them. So much of our reality is based on the concepts we use and the relationship we have with these concepts. So even saying struggle, it already sounds like a bad thing. Oh, I'm struggling. Oh, you poor thing. I don't want you to struggle. We don't want people to struggle, which is just a ridiculous sentiment because it misses out on the nuance and the goods provided by struggle. I mean, I could say 90% of my life, anything that's been of great value has come from struggle. Struggle's not a bad thing. Difficulty's not a bad thing. Hardship's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be. If you have the mindset, a defeatist mindset, that can hurt you for the rest of your life. And more than just in that moment.
Back,
For the rest of your life, you're going to be associating difficulty as bad. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to avoid training. You're going to avoid sitting down, writing out a plan. You're going to avoid holding yourself responsible. You're going to avoid telling your friends because you don't want them to hold you responsible. You're going to avoid all that just because you're afraid of a little pain from one incident because of the way you thought about it. Or the way you believed our society tell you to think about it, or the movies have told you. And again, the opposite can exist. Maybe you can glorify. I've been on the other side. I glorify struggle and pain. So much so I go and find things that are just hurting me, thinking like, no, this is make me stronger. And eventually, no matter what side of the coin you're on, if you're at too far of an extreme, you're going to have a bad time. So it's balance. It's this ebb and flow.
And also like the understanding that almost anything that is worth obtaining comes with difficulties and struggles. I mean, that's just inevitable, aspect of gaining new experience and learning something new and growth, right? You cannot have growth, or at least meaningful growth, if you haven't gone through struggles and difficulties, right? That's where you really learn things, right? Like climbing, for example, I'm still new to climbing relatively, and especially sport climbing. Difficulties and struggles that I experienced the most is fear, honestly. Like going up high, I still don't feel comfortable, but that the fear is real, and the only way to overcome it is to really repeat it. There's no other way, meaning that I have to go through that fear over and over and over again, to the point where I feel numb about it, right?
Yeah.
Understanding, of course, it comes with understanding. It's not just pure, without any objective overcoming it, right?
Yeah.
Like it just comes with knowledge and know-how that okay, this quick draws and anchor points, all this gear works this way. I'm safe.
Yeah.
As long as I follow this safe, instructions, then I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's inevitable. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
Again, we're not saying this just only philosophically that, okay, you have to just, you only learn from struggles. We're not just saying philosophically. There are steps. There are actual things that happen, take place, along the path.
And they happen simultaneously, rapidly and slow at the same time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even realize how far away you've gotten, which is why it's also important when you're training.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you set goals, but you record yourself often, whether that's video
that's a good point,
or you're writing down.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep some type of journal to understand where you started and where you went from.
Yeah.
Because our memory sucks.
Yeah.
Memory's just awful. It's so bad. And we think it's good.
Yeah.
But there's also a deep satisfaction in coming back and realizing 4 weeks later, wow, those numbers have improved, or I'm doing better. Because a lot of times, too, you can't see it in the experience you're having, especially with something like climbing. Maybe you're not actually improving the grades you're climbing. Maybe you're climbing the exact same level.
Yeah.
But, oh, wow, I can do 4 more pull-ups, or I can, hang 20% more weight. That's a significant increase.
Yeah.
Or if you're going and reviewing footage or video, oh, wow, yeah, I seem much more controlled. I seem much more like I'm flowing rather than just jerky motions.
Yeah.
All these things can add up to show you that you've improved.
Yeah.
But again, it comes from that place of intentionality.
Right.
With everything you do. You use it in relationship to your desired outcome.
Yeah.
So when I'm out eating, I want to get better at climbing. I know my diet's a part of that. Am I getting the right nutrients?
Yeah.
Are the nutrients in this meal?
Yeah.
Oh, no? Okay, well, I need to do something to correct that.
Right.
Or should I have, a couple more beers?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's going to impact. I'm training tomorrow morning. You start thinking about things more in relationship.
Yeah.
About what you want and who you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing, because like you were saying, once you apply it once in your life, planning, goal setting, executing, understanding the struggles that come with it, you can then just apply that to almost everything.
Yeah.
Training is more than just a physical skill set to have. You can train every skill.
Yeah.
You can train to become a better human being, a better partner.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, brushing your teeth in the morning. Small things. These are all part of like planning.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, because of the school system, and there's a lot of this stuff thrust upon you initially, that you feel burdened by it.
Yeah.
Because somebody told you to do it. And that's why it's so important to dig deep in yourself to find out what you want and then set your goal, like we talked about on the goal podcast. And then last episode, motivation to have that. So you feel this like continuous cycle coming back. It's so easy to come back just over and over again.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us this week. We hope you found some value in this episode.
Please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Theory of Living.
Subscribe, leave us feedback, and share us with your friends.
Get out there and design a theory that calls you to experience.
We'll see you next week. Thanks.